Chris Barnett, better known by his ring name Beast Boy and Huggy Bear, would enter the ring in his pajamas and perform elaborate dance routines while delivering unexpectedly spectacular finishes. Chris's body fat made it possible for him to perform acrobatic moves like jumping high enough to throw spinning kicks. Let's have a deep look on this 300-pound Taekwondo master surprises everyone in the UFC. After spending some time in Spain, where his father served in the military, his family made the move to Colorado. Chris was required to spend time in the gym with his parents and older brother because all of them were Taekwondo practitioners. The young athlete quickly achieved the rank of black belt and began wrestling when they were in the 10th grade. Because of this, he was awarded a sports scholarship to attend a modest college in Kentucky. And because there was nothing else for him to do after classes, he took up judo. Barnett began training in MMA after completing his education and relocating to Florida. He was 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed 300 pounds. But he moved with dexterity and agility of someone much younger than his age. He was 22 years old. Extreme Fighting Championship matchmakers were taken back
I see y'all. Alex, what's up, baby?
by Barnett's performance and immediately signed him. Chris Beast Boy Barnett's professional MMA debut. Chris Barnett versus Jonathan Ivey. In April of 2009, the newcomer made his debut in the professional ranks. His first opponent was Jonathan Ivey, who had more than 70 fights under his belt. Chris beat the brakes off his opponent for 15 minutes. He threw a variety of kicks, constantly landing combinations and dominated on the ground. At one point, Barnett got super confident and went for a suplex after adding finishing touches to a thorough ass-kicking. The debutant took the victory by unanimous decision. Chris Barnett versus Danny Perez. After a layoff of 4 months, Chris made his return to the competition. Danny Perez, his adversary, was riding a 3-fight winning streak and was prepared to knock the chubster back down to earth. As soon as the fight started, Barnett started using kicks, but he quickly became entangled in the clinch before the break. Beast Boy began the second round by finding his rage, and he came dangerously close to landing an overhand punch. Chris celebrated his achievement by executing a spectacular front flip with ecstatic enthusiasm. Chris Barnett versus Kenny Garner. At the time of the XFC 10 event, Kenny Garner, the future M1 champion, who was 35 years old and just beginning his MMA career, was standing on the opposite side of the cage from Josh Barnett. Garner aggressively made his way into the clinch and put Barnett on the canvas, eventually settling into the Mount Agile position on top of his opponent. Chris made several attempts to counterattack, but the opponent eventually took back and attacked the Beast Boy's neck. Chris's attempts were unsuccessful. The Beast Boy managed to pull through the ordeal, got himself back up on his feet, and then continued his offensive until the bell rang. Barnett quickly changed the course of the fight and even attempted an Americana before time ran out once more. The second round started with a powerful throw and ended with an unfortunate kick. Barnett won the round. The Kung Fu Panda in the final round transformed into a bear and completed another takedown. Almost immediately after that, Garner was thrown to the ground after being punched. After the fight, Barnett enthralled the audience with some acrobatic sketches performed in his signature style, which he eventually turned into a trademark.
Sensacional, gordinho, mais uma vez belíssimo.
Chris Barnett versus Jay White. Inspired by a successful start to their professional career, Chris made the decision to move quickly, and as a result, he was successful not once, but twice in the span of just 3 months. When in the middle of the first round of the fight against Jay White, the two big boys decided to brawl in the middle of the cage. It was one of the most impressive moments of the fight. The spectators then saw another altercation of a physical nature shortly after that. Chris Barnett emerged victorious once again, finishing the competition as the lone survivor and maintaining his perfect record. From March until July of 2010, he was victorious in 3 important matches, bringing his overall record to 5-0, and he was invited to give a performance in Singapore. His 2010 was an extremely busy year. Chris Beast Boy Barnett's Ultimate Fighting Championship career. Although Chris Barnett has been involved in the world of mixed martial arts for a considerable amount of time, he has only recently started competing in the Ultimate Fighting Championships. Chris Beast Boy Barnett has not been a part of the Ultimate Fighting Championship for a very long time, but he has already managed to make a significant impact on the fans of the organization. There are a lot of fighters in the heavyweight division. Most of them have enormous personalities and incredible knockout power. As Barnett began his career in an Extreme Fighting Championship, he started off with a perfect record of 5 wins and 0 losses, which catapulted him to the forefront of the sport and assisted him in building a massive reputation for himself. In addition to this, Beast Boy has a proven track record of success in major Japanese competitions, such as Rizin and the Road Fighting Championship. Barnett debut in UFC. Chris Barnett versus Ben Rothwell. In 2021, after Chris had spent 12 years competing in the MMA circuit, Dana White finally gave him a call, and the heavyweight was given the opportunity to replace Asghar Mazorov and compete against Ben Rothwell on May 22nd at UFC Fight Night. As long as he had fuel in the tank, Barnett looked good. His low kicks were landing well, and some of his punches reached the opponent's head. He always landed a right cross Superman punch, and he used combinations and spins. However, soon after starting to play shots, Rothwell scored a takedown and continued to wear his victim down for 2 minutes. When Chris desperately rushed for a takedown in the second round, Rothwell easily stopped him and caught his debutant in the guillotine. At this point, Barnett had been gassed and was frequently standing still and accepting exchanges that were not at all in his favor. Barnett suffered his only career submission loss in the second round by a guillotine choke, so it wasn't a good start. Tested positive for marijuana. After suffering his defeat, Barnett subsequently exhibited positive results for marijuana. He was compelled to take a break from the UFC for the next 4 months while the organization investigated the situation. Beast Boy finally made his comeback in November 2021, riding high and with a head full of steam. He had waited until that point. The rematch between Barnett and John Valenti, the latter whom intended to call it quits with his fight in front of his home state of New York. Chris Barnett versus John Valenti. Chris was not in a hurry and kept a calm pace in the first round, conserving his energy. However, in the second round, he shook up the arena with one pirouette, and then he let John back his first. The Taekwondo expert rattled John's dome with a well-timed spinning wheel kick, which was followed by a barrage of punches that knocked John out. This was his first win in a promotional competition, and he also received a bonus for having the best performance of the night. The knockout ended up going viral, and it caught the attention of the mainstream media. Chris Barnett versus Martin Buday. Still, Barnett was adamant that he has a great deal more to offer in the way of surprises, regardless of the fact that the unfortunate event that occurred as a result of Beast Boy's previous appearance in the cage. After an illegal elbow strike to the back of the head, the referee stopped the competition and declared the blow to be accidental. As a result, the final decision was based on the scorecards of the judges, which were all in favor of Martin Buday. I guess we'll have to chalk this one up to a purely technical decision. In the future, Barnett is going to make another attempt to get his life back on track, just like he's done a number of times before. However, regardless of the outcome, the real winners will be the fans. We're looking forward to seeing the Beast Boy get back on his feet and step into the act once more next time. Since his debut, Barnett has gone on to fight a total of 4 more times in the UFC. His UFC record stands at 2-2-0.
I gotta move, I had to improve on my game. Every time I'm out here, I'm gonna do better. And the reason I'm gonna be better is because of y'all.